All right. Cool, Chris. Thanks for making the time to be here for our interview. I guess it's interview, this discussion that you and I've been wanting to have about Storybrand for so long. You and I are such big believers in it, and we've been working together on it with our clients for so long. It's just long overdue. I think that's what I'm getting at here. It should be really fun because it's a really cool thing and you're really good at it. So those of you out there that are just tuning into this, my name is Robert Lunte. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called CourseCREEK. Course as in a little river, Creek as in course as an online course, Creek as in a little river, one word together. Go check it out. Chris is our director of marketing and our director of copywriting. He's been with our company for several years. And today we're going to talk about something that we believe in a lot. Clients absolutely love it. And that is wordsmithing, copywriting. In particular, the methodology designed by the brilliant Donald Miller, known as Storybrand. Some of you might be familiar with it. Those of you that are not, we're going to learn about it right now. So welcome, Chris. Good to see you. It's been a long time, like since 8 o'clock this morning.
Great to be here. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's teach folks about Storybrand. What is it? What is Storybrand? And how does it transform business messaging? Why is it arguably the best copywriting methodology for websites?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of information just in the namesake, story plus brand, created by, as you mentioned, Don Miller. Started his career as a best-selling author and then pivoted midway through to apply a lot of what he learned to the world of business and through this messaging framework. I like it because, as an entrepreneur myself, we all have our side projects and things like that. Marketing guy, I'm always thinking about ideas, and it's very easy when you put your business hat on to just go abstract and to start using your business vocabulary. And I think a lot of business owners, marketing managers, the kinds of people that benefit from Storybrand, you tend to over communicate, over complicate when you talk about your business. It's just kind of how we're wired. And what this framework does is it moves people in our minds completely away from that into the element of story. One example I like to mention to illustrate this, if I ask you, what's the mission statement of your favorite company? That's so hard to answer that it's almost like a weird question. What's the story of your favorite company? Maybe that's a little easier. But if I ask for the plot line of your favorite book or movie, you just dive right in. That's very easy. And what this framework does is it takes that concept of how we talk about our favorite book or movie and teaches us, not even just teaches, but applies an easy way to incorporate that into how you talk about your business just through a consultative workshop where, it's facilitated and we kind of work all the magic behind the scenes, but all you have to do is really show up and be engaged and you come out with a beautiful messaging framework for your business.
Cool. So it leverages the science and the art of great storytelling. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Share a few things that make up a great story. All great stories, be it the Iliad or Tale of Two Cities or War and Peace, they all have some consistent, regular elements to them that make up a great story. If we as human beings are going to pay attention and enjoy the story, what are some of those elements that all great stories have?
Yep. Every story, you have the hero, of course.
Okay.
You have the problem that they're up against that's keeping them from achieving their goal, the typical story arc. There's a lot of different layers to that problem. The hero needs help. There's a process. The guide comes into the picture. Again, think of your favorite movie, favorite book. There's always somebody helping your hero along, overcome. They can't do it by themselves. Humans would like to help each other. That's why we like this part of the story. And then, of course, there is the plan. Once the hero says, okay, I've had the help. I'm ready I can actually go conquer this problem now. And then the whole character transformation and everything that comes along with that as that hero's journey is completed.
Well, so then if we overlay that to business and messaging for our businesses, then is that to say that working on a brand script with you, with your help, we would figure out who's the hero in my business, who's the guide in my business, who's the villain in my business, and those sorts of things. Is that kind of where it ends up going?
Yeah, and that is a big mistake that a lot of folks make when they think about their business. Again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning, when you put that abstract business theory hat on when you're talking about your business, it's very natural then to just think of yourself and your business as the focal point, as the hero. But a big shift that Storybrand reminds us is that the customers are ultimately the hero and the business needs to be the guide. So that is a big shift. People want to be the heroes of their own story, and they will engage and pay money to the guides that help them solve those problems and defeat those villains.
Mm-hmm. And I've been through this, and one of the things that I learned, it took me a while to figure this out because I had to kind of get over myself. It takes a while to realize that I don't get to be the hero in this particular, with my business. I'm not the hero. You kind of think you'd be the hero because you're the guy that's working the most and achieving the things. But I'm not the hero. I'm the guide. I'm not Luke Skywalker. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And Luke Skywalker is my clients because I'm guiding them. Yeah. And at least for me, and I think for some people, it's sort of tricky at first to kind of get a feel for that. But yeah, that's very cool. So since you and I started working together on Storybrand, you've always been really passionate about it. You've come to me, I don't know how many times. I like doing marketing, it's okay, but what I really love to do is Storybrand. I really like the wordsmithing. I'm passionate about it. This is fun. This is what I want to do. You're like a kid when you talk about Storybrand, and I thought it'd be good and relevant. If I just want to ask you, why are you passionate about Storybrand? You know, outside of the mechanics, the methodology that we just described, but what does it do to you from a emotional intelligence perspective?
Yeah. Oh, so many reasons. So I'd say first of all, they're deep conversations like these workshops. You're not talking about KPIs. You're talking about, the values and core beliefs of your target customer. You're talking about the external, internal, and philosophical problems that they're up against. You're personifying those problems into a villain. You're doing a lot of deep stuff. And I like to joke that I'm a recovering overthinker. So even though I try to keep it simple now, I like that deep connection for sure. And I've also really attracted to the framework as I used to be a skeptic. I started my career as a kind of a internet entrepreneur, right when, you could go online and, buy some Facebook followers or, sell some ebooks on eBay, that kind of thing. And I just thought, let's just get to the promote phase of marketing. Like, let's just put our ad out there and, let's be active. Let's go. And maybe I had a few small wins, but a lot of times what I did fell flat because I wasn't actually taking the time to get the messaging down. This isn't the 90s. You can't just put a banner ad up and people are going to click it because they're like, oh, I'm barely used the internet before. What is this picture I can click? That's not how it works anymore. So now if you're investing in your business in any capacity, not even just marketing, but if you don't have that message down, like everything is so crowded, competitive, cutthroat now, you have to have a message that differentiates and you have to have a message that connects. And the beautiful thing about Storybrand is if you do it right, if you really do it right, you'll see your target customers, they will not even do their full due diligence of like looking at other vendors. Like if they'll be so connected. We've all had this experience if you land on a good website, you might say, all right, this isn't bad. Let me pull up a few more tabs. But if you land on a website that just hits you right where it counts and you think, man, this site was made for me or this brand was made for me, I'm not doing any more research. I'm just buying, and that's what Storybrand can deliver.
Because that headline on the hero section is gone through a brand scripting session, and it's not really speaking to you, the guide. It's speaking to your customer. And I have a perfect example. Recently, I've been shopping for watches so I've been getting like old school watches. So now I'm getting hit by a whole bunch of watches, and a lot of them are very cool and like high tech looking and very interesting, cool watches. and I recently, I'm getting a lot of ads on Facebook for watches, and I just got one. It's really beautiful. And the catch line was perfect, though. It was such a little thin, sort of rectangular, elegant, very elegant, pretty thing. It wasn't trying to be big and clunky or whatever. Anyways, the message was because you're not a kid anymore.
Mm.
And the optics and the imagery in the video was somebody like driving a Jaguar, all like, buttoned up and accomplished, and you're a little bit more mature, so you can have like a classier, more mature watch and not something that's whatever that something else might be. Anyways, yeah, that's what reminded me of a little bit about the brand scripting. What is a brand script, by the way? Brand script. What's a brand script?
Yeah. Actually, before I get into that, it reminds me,
Okay.
I listened to a recent podcast diving into the entire history of Rolexes.
Okay.
And I didn't know this, but when Rolex was, actually becoming what we think of it today, it wasn't always like that. It was a lot of really powerful messaging in the 60s and 70s. One of their slogans was a Rolex, something like a Rolex won't change the world, but it'll be on the wrist of a man who does.
Cool.
And that's what they led with. And that helped shape a lot of the perception that has carried them 50 years later. And that's just a perfect example of when you do it right, it's invaluable.
That is a great line.
Yeah.
I love
It
that.
gave me chills when I heard it. I was like, yep, that's how you do it.
Put that on a shirt. What's a brand script when you tell people?
Brand script. Brand script is essentially the copywriting deliverable that comes out of the Storybrand messaging process.
Okay.
So you get all basically the boiled down, define who your character is, what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish, what the problems that they're up against, how you introduce yourself as the guide, how we establish empathy as that guide, how we demonstrate authority. Both of those things you need to do to be successful in your role as the guide and as a business. It includes the plan, which is basically then once you've convinced your character that you as the guide are capable of helping them solve their problems and become the hero, what are the things that they have to do? There's a few components to that. There's a process plan. Think of this like the step 1, 2, 3. Here's how this happens. There's also the agreement plan where you preemptively speak to objections that you'll have to overcome along the way.
Okay.
And then that spits into some actual copywriting deliverables for your website, your marketing, things like a one-liner, which I like to think of as kind of your abbreviated elevator pitch. If you have, one full sentence to explain to someone what you do, that's your one-liner. And for a lot of businesses and people, that can be hard, when you really think about it. It's easy to think that you know how to do that, but then how many business owners are consistent if 10 people ask them at different points in the day or ask their team, what does the business do succinctly? You get lots of different answers. So the one-liner, the tagline, which is great for like the back of a business card or the hero section of your homepage, just half sentence, boom, right there. Also, key benefits, a key differentiator, the boilerplate, which is kind of the extended elevator pitch. I like to think of this as what would be on the back of your book. So you get a lot of great deliverables that basically bring it all together and plug into your marketing.
So is it safe to say that's the deliverable? So that's the thing you hand over, and everybody's using this, right? It's not just you give it to the customer and they walk away with this beautiful looking brand scripting that orients their business around the elements of great storytelling, but it's a tool that is then given to everybody on your team, your instructional designers, your implementation people, marketing guys like you, right?
Yeah, honestly, I think of it as an operational asset as much as a marketing one. Cool. To have that alignment internally, everyone to know how to talk about the company the same way, understand the company, the customer, really helps build that cohesion internally in addition to how you actually market.
Okay. What elements inside? So now you have your brand script. Where is it used? Where do we like what elements on the customer journey would we utilize this new wordsmithing insights?
Yeah. So, I mean, it can be inserted in pretty much everywhere. I mean, they're
Okay.
one of the reasons I like Storybrand. I didn't mention earlier is, there's a lot of messaging frameworks out there that are just a little more in the clouds, right? They don't have the same practical application of how they can plug and play right into your marketing or website. But there with Storybrand, there's actually web templates you can find that are built for, as you get your brand script, sections are laid out where you're kind of going through that hero's journey, or your prospect is, while they scroll down the page. So, you start by introducing the problem and the prospect saying, yeah, I can relate to that. And you share the stakes. Why does this problem matter? And they're thinking, yeah, absolutely. And then, you share, so on and so forth. So it plugs into your website for sure, your other marketing, your emails, your social posts, very integrates very well into pretty much your entire ecosystem.
Nice. And yet you and I, we have a little twist on the theme, don't we? A little variation on the theme where we're working with e-learning and course creators. How is that different than, say, working with, say, a law firm or roofers or whatever? You now have a lot of experience doing brand scripting for people that are offering e-learning digital products and services. Is there anything different or unique about that is interesting to share?
Yeah, I would say it is more important to do and more important to get right because of the nature of what someone is trying to accomplish by building and promoting an online course. When we're trying to do this, when you're trying to develop an online course, sell an online course, build a passive income stream, or at least semi-passive, you are trying to sell without you and your team needing to be involved in that process.
Yeah.
If you're a great consultant and you get a lot of referrals, maybe you don't need as much Storybrand because you're going to get referrals, and then those referrals are going to have these 60-minute consults with you to find out if you're a good fit, and maybe you can sell yourself. You don't have that luxury when you're making a course. It needs to sell itself just by somebody landing on the website and kind of experiencing your content and paying you for a digital product. That's hard to do, but at the same time, the ones that do it well, they're millionaires, they're billionaires, right? Like, there's so much upside to having a successful online course. So I would say, because if you want to have a successful business that kind of runs on autopilot, that generates mostly passive income, and that isn't tied to you personally or your team, then you have to have the messaging very dialed in.
Okay. And if you don't have it dialed in, what are some of the pitfalls, Chris? Like, if you're working on a brand script and you've had a lot of experience with this, and in the context of e-learning, what's some advice that you could give people that are interested in doing this kind of work, to ensure that they get the most out of it?
Yeah, I mean, you know just as well as me that online courses are not cheap to do them right. So if you go into this process thinking, I don't want to, go through this exercise, I kind of understand a lot of it already, or maybe I can do a little bit by myself.
Yeah.
What's the risk? I mean, and we're not even just talking about the cost of course production itself in terms of financially. We're talking about your investment as far as time and energy. We're talking about the marketing dollars that you're probably putting in after to promote the course to get it started. Mm-hmm. So in hindsight, I mean, it's a small little investment to get started, but I think relative to everything else, if you're really doing the online course business push the right way, it's very risky to just move past it and think that you don't need something like that.
Yeah, it gets back to that idea of, at some point you got to get over yourself, and that doesn't mean that you're not the expert in the topic that you're teaching. You are, but yeah. I mean, I have some courses in another life, and the messaging on my website, in some sense, isn't going to sell me. It's not going to sell. That's not the messaging I need to buy my product. The messaging that I would need for buy my product, and you hit on this earlier, would be something far more complex and scientific probably because I'm more sophisticated at it, but it's the messaging that my customers need. And my customers, I'm not my customer. I'm somebody else's customer. So yeah, you were hitting on that earlier.
Yeah, that is a good point. As educators, I would say it's especially hard to get out of the way
Yeah, it
and
is.
and kind of
And
hit
course
that.
creators have big egos. And they're they can at least. They're very proud of their work, and they're all really smart, and
Yeah,
they're proud of their work, and they're proud of what they've done and the lives they've been touching, and they've all touched lives and changed lives and that sort of thing. They're all very proud of that. So it's a bit of a challenge to get through that, but it's turn there. That's what has to be done. We live in a world of, especially even in e-commerce, a lot of AI, a lot of high tech going on. What's the future of brand scripting and wordsmithing? Considering the fact that somebody could create an AI tool that could be
yeah.
just filling out forms and I mean, I guess you could kind of create a brand script with AI. You could, but does that feel like a threat to you?
No, actually, I mean, who knows? In 10 years, we'll see if the world's just completely overtaken by robots. But for the foreseeable future, with how things are going, we've actually seen the value of the actual Storybrand workshop messaging process amplified because of AI. Because what it does is it gives you detailed, personal, nuanced firepower to feed into these tools to get very consistent, tailored, targeted content based on this initial foundational work that you've done with your Storybrand messaging. Yes, there are some tools out there that sort of help AI with running through the messaging framework and things like that. And I was the first one to dive in as they started coming out. And it's not that they were like bad, but I was a little underwhelmed, honestly. And I think the reason for that is the value. Like, so when we do a Storybrand process, it starts with this 90-minute deep dive workshop, and there's a lot of very nuanced questions. And just like as everyone probably knows, like with AI, prompting is everything. And over the years, we've really refined these questions. I mean, we didn't know AI was coming. We still need to ask the best questions possible for the Storybrand process, right? So the way that has sort of infused with the output that we get in those calls, when you then are exporting those transcripts and leveraging the AI tools in the right way to create these beautiful brand scripts that are kind of the best of both worlds, that gives you a foundation that's very powerful to plug into the rest of your AI ecosystem with your marketing or otherwise.
If you're telling stories, it helps to have real human experience.
Yep. Yep.
It's not just the chicken crossed the road, it's why, how, when, where,
Yeah.
who with, did he even make it? Did he not? How did he feel how did he feel when he crossed the road? Was
Yeah.
that when he got it done? Does that now influence the brand script and the product you're now serving and your life purpose? I mean, I'm getting a little esoteric, but that's just exactly the point. It's a sort of a bot's not gonna be able to do that yet, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throughout our workshop, some of the questions at times begin to feel redundant.
Okay.
And I tell clients that's actually exactly what we want, because so many times it always surprises me. Ask a question once or twice, you get some good answers. Sometimes it's on the fifth time when a client will go into a little more detail or tell one of those stories that you're talking about, and something will come out that we're just like, oh my gosh, this is why we asked this a few different ways. And I think that nuance, you're not going to get that from just a couple prompts in an AI. Even if you prompt it multiple times, like AI just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And you no doubt have moments where you're on to the fifth and last sort of way of asking the same question, and somebody somehow it resonates for them, and they begin to elaborate. And no doubt you've had moments where like, that's it. That's the nugget I'm looking for right there. That's your, you don't even know it, but that's your hero. Or that's your villain. And it's good. All right, so I'm going to catch you. We're almost done here. It's been fun, and I think the people that are watching this will get a lot out of it. I'm going to take you. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We didn't plan for this, but what I want you to do, completely unprepared, I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to provide some words of wisdom for people that are thinking about making a course or thinking about making a website or anything online. And just like a life lesson, just like a word of wisdom from Chris. It could be Storybrand. It wouldn't have to be. It could be anything that you want. Just something from the heart from Chris to humanity. Ready? Go.
I would say take time with the plan, which sounds, I suppose, obvious on the surface, but a lot of people will rush into it because of the idea of the course. But if there's one thing I've learned now, putting on my marketing hat specifically, people will not come just because you build it. That is a big fallacy. And in fact, most businesses fail because of that. They think they have a great product, idea, in this case, a course. So they spend a bunch of money, maybe all their money or most of their money creating it, and then they don't have a plan to market it. So I would say, think of the full picture. In fact, at CourseCREEK, that's why we tell clients up front, like, this is a full service ecosystem. We're not just building a course. We have a strategy on the front end. We can market it on the back end. And ideally, we want to talk about that big picture from the very first call. Because if you have a plan for a game changer course, but you don't have a following yet, and you don't have budget to market it or a plan to market it, then you're just going to have a great course that nobody sees except your friends and family. So take the time, ask us, get on a call and just ask us the hard questions. Say, yeah, I like what you guys are doing. You can build a great course, but like, here's my goal. I want to be, have X amount of money cash flowing by X time. Ask us. We'll put a plan together. I'll help you work on that. That way you're not just rushing in, sort of in love with your own idea. Even if it's a great idea, we want people to benefit from this idea beyond just you creating the course.
That's great. Share something and then we'll get out of here. And I've been working with Chris, 3, maybe 4 years now. One of the highest integrity individuals I've ever had the pleasure of working with. When you work with Chris, marketing or Storybrand stuff, it's crawl, walk, run. It's very careful. It's very calculated. It comes with a lot of care and a lot of excellence. Working with Chris as a client is sort of like brewing finely aged wine, in a sense. Like it's not a hurry, where he's going to get it right, and he takes his time with it, which is really great. And he's a good man. It's good. It's been fun to work with you. That will cut people loose. If you have any questions about Storybrand or anything we do, again, I'm Robert Lunte. I'm at CourseCREEK.com. You can also find Chris there at CourseCREEK.com as well. He's on the team page, and we'd be more than happy to take care of you. We look forward to meeting you guys on a Zoom call. With that, enjoy your day. Bye.